Game Pass is a really good model for many reasons. It's definitely profitable for Microsoft, and hopefully the developers get a fair cut as well. As a consumer, on the other hand, it's a means of mitigating economic risk. Before I got into Game Pass, I tended to rely a lot more on social media to justify my purchases. If I thought a game looked interesting, but the larger media outlets gave it a lower than average score, I often ended up not giving it a fair chance. However, Game Pass has changed this for me in many ways. I'm not in any means trying to justify its value for someone else here, but for me personally, it has given me the chance to dive into worlds that I would have otherwise passed on. The most recent one that I tried was Psychonauts 2. It's fair to say that Psychonauts 2 hooked me right away. I came out of an action-adventure game period where I finished Ghost of Tsushima and Ratchet & Clank. After that, I started up games that I really appreciated in the beginning, like Scarlet Nexus, Deathloop and Guardians of the Galaxy. All of those games are fairly different, but they're also in the same general area of games as the ones I've just finished. Needless to say, I fell off those games after a while, continuing to scour through my backlog of opportunity. I figured out that I had to try something else. Flash forward to when the Game of the Year discussions began in social media outlets. The name Psychonauts 2 started floating around. It was a nominee on the largest Game of the Year show, ended up as many people's top picks on several podcasts that I listened to, and yet I never even considered it. It looked weird, I never played the first one, and I rarely play platformers at all. And the point I want to make here is that Psychonauts 2 is weird, and that is what makes the game really damn good. The general mechanics of the game are very familiar. You collect a bunch of stuff whilst traversing from point A to B. This is often done by using special abilities you have in your arsenal. Instead of expanding on a concept, Psychonauts 2 goes right down to the fundamentals of the genre and tries to execute them perfectly, and that with great success. By having this design philosophy, the game felt very nostalgic to me. I, like many others, had my first encounter with 3D platformers in games like Crash Bandicoot 1, 2 and 3 or Spyro. The first Psychonauts comes from this area as well, and this game kind of keeps that DNA running throughout. It took me back to the moments I had as a kid, sitting on the living room floor in front of a tin can TV with a wired PS1 controller in hand. When I were collecting crystals and apples as an eccentric bandicoot dressed in denim, I felt right at home. And even though I never touched the first Psychonauts game, it still gave me this feeling. It's like a blast to the past, reminding me where and why gaming established itself as my favorite type of media. It's just fun, and it doesn't demand a lot from the player. You can play it as a collecting game, a story-driven adventure game with a philosophical undertone, or just a linear platforming game. It's snappy, creative, and gets really crazy from time to time. My only critique would be directed towards the combat in this game. It feels a bit floaty at first, but after a while I got used to the general feel of it. The combat did get better throughout the game though. I'm unsure if it's because I got more abilities to spam during the encounters, or if I just got better at it. However, the boss fights are really something else. Instead of just smacking the enemies around, all boss fights have several different creative mechanics tied to them. Also, they are thematically tied to the world and task at hand, in an often bizarre and creepy way. Also, some of them can be quite challenging from time to time. I will spoil the entire experience for you if I tell you more about it, so you just have to play the game, I guess. I want to touch on the story elements without getting into actual spoilers, because it genuinely surprised me. On the outside, there's a quite simple overhanging narrative with plot points that drive the character's motivations forward. But if you allow yourself to actually watch the individual story pieces that are scattered around the world, a more complex and engrossing story can be found. This being said, I want to point out that there's more to Psychonauts 2 than meets the eye, if you just let yourself listen to what the game has to tell you. As an adult, I appreciated this kind of storytelling. With a more mature viewing angle, I can see small hints that flesh out the character's backstory and give them more relevance. In the end, Psychonauts 2 is very memorable. The creative level design, set of characters and story made this game one of my top picks of 2021. It made me laugh a lot, and sometimes made me feel emotional when I understood the different characters' motives. To be honest, I really recommend this game, and if still on Game Pass, there's no reason not to give it a chance. I doubt you'll be disappointed. If you try to read between the lines and grasp the non-mandatory exposition scattered around the world, you'll hopefully have a similar experience to mine. I'm very happy that I gave this game a shot, and now that I've handed over the torch to you, you should try it out. Thank you for sticking with me till the end. If you play this game, please comment down below to share your experience with it. Also, if you like this kind of video, please like and subscribe for more videos similar to this one, and it helps me a lot. And with that said, see you guys in the next one. Ta-ta!